Welcome to World True Crime, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of real-life mystery. Today, we're uncovering the chilling events that took place in the quiet suburb of Willoughby Hills, Ohio. On the night of November 12, 2012, a seemingly ordinary family home became the scene of a brutal crime that shocked the community. Sabrina Zunich, an 18-year-old foster daughter, was at the center of it all. What led to this unimaginable act of violence? And how did a family's darkest secrets unravel into tragedy? Stay tuned as we explore the haunting story of the Canel family. Let's dive into the story of Sabrina Zunich. On November 12, 2012, everything changed for the Canel family. They were living in the quiet suburb of Willoughby Hills, a picturesque town just outside Cleveland, Ohio. They had a reasonably comfortable life. Kevin Canel was a truck driver, and Lisa Canel was a social worker with the Cuyahoga County Department of Children and Family Services. Their house was quiet and ordinary, a charming 3-bedroom just off the peaceful Chagrin River. It had a large front yard for the kids to play, including a trampoline and a wooden playset with a slide. These kids were loved and well looked after. There was no reason to suspect anything would go wrong. On the evening of the 12th, Kevin was out at work on the road. Lisa, meanwhile, was home with the kids. The kids were Haley, the 3-year-old child of Kevin and Lisa together, Megan, the 13-year-old from Lisa's first marriage, and their foster daughter, 18-year-old Sabrina. Lisa usually took 3-year-old Haley to bed at about 10 p.m. It was Haley's habit to return a few hours later to Lisa and Kevin's room to sleep in their bed. 13-year-old Megan went to her own room around the same time. 18-year-old Sabrina had more freedom, having become an adult. A few weeks earlier, on the night of the 12th, she stayed up working on a project for school for her British literature class in the office area. We're both upstairs in our rooms. We separate rooms, so what happened after she went to bed? Is Lisa still awake, or is Lisa sleeping at this time? I don't know. Sabrina was listening to music and wasn't keeping track of other people's movements in the house. She worked on her project until about midnight, when she went upstairs and tried to sleep, but she had a headache and couldn't get to sleep. After some point in time, you don't know long it's been, Sabrina can't go to bed. 'Cause she got a headache, correct? Sabrina left her own room and walked downstairs to Kevin and Lisa's bedroom. She go open up the medicine cabinet. Wipe B. It says ibuprofen. How many did you take? 3. She take 3 of those. After she take 3 of them, where does she go from there? I don't know. Megan and Haley were asleep in bed. Lisa was in her room sleeping too, and Sabrina was standing there taking medication from there. No one knows exactly what happened. Only the 13-year-old Megan woke up at about 1:15 a.m. to the sounds of a struggle. She rushed into her mom's room and found her foster sister, her mom, and a knife. Call 911. What, your emergency? Yeah, my mom with a knife and my sister. She's doing what to your mom with a knife? You need to take a deep breath for me so I can understand you. Oh, I did. Lisa Canel had been stabbed 178 times in her head, neck, torso, and extremities. She had defensive wounds. She had tried to fight back, and some of her injuries were complex wounds, where the knife had been twisted. These wounds included one on her jaw deep enough to sever her cord artery. The knife was a 15-inch convex serrated knife, and it had been bent with the force of the attack. At this point, she was already between strength. Beyond saving, her veins had collapsed as a result of the blood loss, and she had flatlined. 3-year-old Haley was hiding in the closet, and Sabrina was covered in blood. Her mom's blood. It was Sabrina holding the knife at 1:17 a.m. A local police patrolman received a call on dispatch about an assault in progress in the peaceful local area. He rushed to the house in Willoughby Hills, pulling into the driveway to find 13-year-old Megan still holding the phone. She'd used to call 911, pleading with him to stop the attack that was happening in the house. Behind her, he went down the hallway towards Lisa and Kevin's room. He called out for Sabrina to come out with her hands up. She did. She was covered in blood and sobbing, still with the murder weapon in her grip. She had several small lacerations on her hands, the back of her neck, and on her legs above the knees. When the police spoke to Sabrina, she was incoherent and uncooperative, but it was clear what had happened. Megan had witnessed Sabrina attacking their mom, and the physical evidence splattered all over her was undeniable. But why would this ordinary member of this loving family turn to such awful measures? Why would she attack her loving foster mom with a knife, stabbing her nearly 200 times in a fit of rage? Let's talk about Sabrina Zunich. She was born in October 1994 and had a troubled childhood right from the very beginning. Her parents were 35-year-old Mark Zunich and 40-year-old Susan Edwards, both from Ohio. Both had extensive arrest records in 1984. Susan spent 6 months in prison after pleading guilty to grand theft. 6 years later, she was found to have supplied drugs to a group of 14 and 15-year-olds in Cleveland, though her sentencing for this crime was delayed, because at the time she was giving birth to Sabrina's older half-sibling. She was later charged with obstruction of justice as well. Sabrina's father, Mark, also had a string of criminal indictments, and these weren't limited to the non-violent before Sabrina was born. He had already been arrested multiple times for disorderly conduct and driving under the influence. But when Sabrina was 16 months old, he was arrested for domestic violence. This was the first of many instances of aggression in Sabrina's early life. But she still lived with her father and her grandmother in a small house in Wycliffe, separate from her mom. Though Susan and Mark were still together, according to a neighbor, the police were called to the house frequently, and Mark was always drunk. When Sabrina was being bottle-fed as a baby, Mark would put vodka into her bottle to get her to go to sleep more easily. In 2006, when Sabrina was 11, things escalated. Mark gave Susan money to buy alcohol and then accused her of stealing the money for herself. He grabbed her by the hair. When the police arrived, they found him granting that she should leave his house and never come back. Police report described Mark as a paranoid schizophrenic who hadn't been taking his medication. His life was littered with further arrests, including drunk driving and property damage, until he died of an apparent drug overdose in 2012. By this time, however, Sabrina was already out of the house, with Mark devolving into an irresponsible drunk. Sabrina's grandmother couldn't handle looking after Sabrina on her own, and so Sabrina was sent at the age of 14 to a county-run group home, Emma KY Receiving Home, as a teenager. The home was designed for structured behavior modification. She had well-documented anger issues. She would get into fights at school, and someone who knew her there said she wasn't someone to mess with, nor anyone in her life she loves, because she'll make me or anyone pay. At the age of 4, Sabrina had been diagnosed with ADHD. This and other diagnoses worked alongside. A lot of her problems, her anger issues, lying, substance abuse, hearing voices, and stealing. But when she transferred high schools and moved from the group home to a foster family, her behavior changed dramatically at her new school. She kept her head down and did her work. She had perfect attendance. She was 16, and things were finally looking up. Her new foster family was the Canel family. Lisa Canel was used to dealing with troubled children in her work as a social worker. She worked specifically in child protection and knew the value of compassion, and she tried to treat Sabrina with this same compassion. Lisa had started this work in 1999, around the same time as Mon was born at the time. She was married to someone else. This marriage broke down in 2003. It was in 2006 that she met and married Kevin Canel. Kevin had also been married in the past from 1992 to 1997. His first child, born in 1993, did not live with him. It isn't clear how Lisa and Kevin met and got together, but they moved into the pretty house on Chagrin Drive in 2008, and in 2009 they had a daughter of their own, Haley. The 5 of them, Kevin, Lisa, Megan, Haley, and foster daughter Sabrina, made a tight-knit family unit, at least from the outside. But despite Sabrina's measurable improvement in behavior, things were not as they seemed in the Canel household. The relationship between Lisa and Sabrina broke down as quickly as it had begun. Sabrina told a friend that Lisa made her life hell, and they had vicious arguments. Sabrina believed that Lisa showed favoritism towards her 2 biological daughters and didn't think it was fair. So a division was created in the household between Lisa, Megan, and Haley on one side and Sabrina and Kevin on the other. It was Kevin Sabrina turned to when she fell out with Lisa, and Kevin made sure to offer her a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on. They became unusually close. Sabrina's friends noticed their strange dynamic and commented on it, unnerved by their touchy relationship and sexual inside jokes. But no one raised any alarm bells. Because the truth seemed beyond belief. The truth that Kevin had actually groomed Sabrina into a relationship. Sabrina believed they were in love, but it was imperative that they keep their relationship a secret from the rest of the family. How do you get along with Kevin? He's the one that helps me out. Because this say Megan to deal with mean mental instabilities herself. Eh? And so we made agreements a long time ago that if I need anything, that I go to Kevin. Whenever Lisa, Megan, and Haley were out, Kevin and Sabrina spent time together. She named him Kevin Love in the contacts of her iPod. What was his relationship to you? It was when a foster father would needed to be, and when a lover when not being a foster father, as Kevin and Sabrina got closer in 2012. Sabrina and Lisa's dynamic deteriorated even further. She wanted me out. Sabrina felt maternal towards 3-year-old Haley and resented the way Lisa kept them apart. On one occasion, Lisa restrained Sabrina physically, and Sabrina spoke to the police about it, but nothing came of it, despite the increasingly troubled environment in the Canel home. Sabrina's petition to remain with the Canel after her 18th birthday in October 2012 was successful. Her social worker saw no problems in the household. Sabrina was doing well in school, attending her counseling sessions, and came up clean on drug tests. There was no evidence of the nightmare to come. In the lead-up to November 12, 2012, Kevin's relationship with his wife also deteriorated. On September 15, the police were called to their home on a domestic call. Kevin and Lisa had a fight about Megan, and Lisa had accused him of choking Megan. He claimed he had only taken her by the back of the neck to steer her into her room. The dispute was already over, and Lisa had left the house, but Kevin spoke to the police in case the incident was used in future divorce proceedings. He had told Sabrina he wanted a divorce from Lisa, so he could be with her. He also asked Sabrina's social worker what would happen if he and Lisa divorced. If he would be able to keep custody of Sabrina. On a family camping trip with an old friend, David Strunk, Kevin confessed that Lisa suspected he was having an affair with their foster daughter. He showed David photos of Sabrina, including modeling shots he'd helped her put together and underwear she'd bought him. Said he was seeing a divorce attorney. This was in October 2012, just a month before his wife's murder. Kevin was out working on the night of November 12th, when the police notified him of what had happened. He immediately demanded to know about his girls and picked them up from the police department, 5 a.m. Haley and Megan. That is because Sabrina was in police custody. Police officers who interacted with Kevin that morning, the morning after his family was horrifically torn apart, recalled him acting strangely calm. One officer said that Kevin was saying he was some kind of EMT before, and he had seen stuff like this numerous times, and I wasn't going to tell him anything that he hasn't seen before, and he wanted to know every detail about what happened. He was frustrated that they wouldn't let him see Sabrina, ranting that he was her foster father and needed to see her. He had his name added to her visitor list. Meanwhile, the police were interviewing Sabrina, trying to get to the bottom of why she had murdered her foster mother. She's never seemed to like Mom, and she's been wanting me out of the house. What's your thoughts on how Lisa is not alive now? What are your thoughts on that? She is not alive. Sabrina claimed to have no knowledge of her foster mother's death. She said she remembered nothing after entering Lisa's bedroom for medication. Remember when we came to the house, you had the knife in your hand. Are you sure it wasn't so fun? There was always two sides in every story. Sabrina maintained her story that she didn't remember anything, but the evidence was irrefutable. You're under arrest. You know Lisa's dead, and it appears that you're responsible. At this time, Sabrina was booked and taken to jail, and on the outside, Kevin seemed to be moving on with his life almost immediately. He donated Lisa's things to Goodwill and tried to sell her bedroom furniture on Craigslist. He asked David to shut down Lisa's social media accounts, claiming he couldn't handle the influx of messages. On November 17th, 5 days after the death of his wife. He hired a cleaning company to clean the scene of the murder. His manner was reportedly matter-of-fact. He told the money was no object, because he had a $250,000 life insurance policy, but he did not have one such policy. After the murder, he remarked to one of Lisa's co-workers that her $50,000 salary was a lot to make up, but in the weeks following, he more than managed it. Across various different insurance policies from his own employer, as well as private insurance companies. Kevin collected around $785,000. He put this money to work immediately. He paid off their previously foreclosed house and added a swimming pool, bought himself new cars, and took flying lessons. He was living a freshly comfortable life while Sabrina was languishing in prison awaiting trial for his wife's murder. But 9 months later, things changed for Kevin. Sabrina got tired of taking the fall and told the police about her relationship with Kevin. Not only that, but she told them what had really happened that Kevin had told her. Lisa needed to die. And why did you do that? Because I was doing what I was told to do. Kevin had maintained that he wanted to divorce Lisa so he could be with Sabrina throughout their relationship. But in September 2012, he confessed that he was afraid he'd lose custody of the girls, including his own daughter Haley, if he divorced Lisa. He told Sabrina about the life insurance policies amounting nearly to $800,000 and said that as a result, Lisa was worth more dead than alive. If Lisa was gone, Kevin said he and Sabrina could be together and raise their own family. The pair began to make plans. They talked to one of Sabrina's friends from high school, Autumn Pavic, in the car on the way to a Chinese buffet. They discussed the prospect of having a friend of Autumn's carry out a hit on Lisa. In October, Autumn moved to California, and nothing more came of this plan, but Sabrina and Kevin didn't give up. In early November, they discussed using a pistol with a pillow to muffle the sound. Sabrina would shoot Lisa, and then Kevin would dispose of the gun. Then it went to let's use a gun. The plan was he was going to say he's going to drop me off at the roller ring, and I was going to go to the shooting range with him. Lisa said, "Why don't you ever do anything with me anymore?" And so that didn't happen on the morning before the murder. Kevin was driving Sabrina to school as he always did. But on this occasion, he stopped the car and began to get upset. He described a fight he'd had with Lisa. A fight so bad. He said, "I can't stand anymore, so I'm going to kill myself if she's not dead." Sabrina was in love with him. Sabrina said she'd kill Lisa as soon as she could. They planned out how the stabbing should be done. If Lisa was lying on her side, Sabrina should stab her in the back. If she was lying on her back, Sabrina should stab her in the throat. The attack would have to happen at night while Lisa was asleep, but without disturbing Haley, who usually came into Lisa's room in the middle of the night. Key to the plan was this. Sabrina would claim insanity. If she was caught, this was why she feigned ignorance throughout her police interview. This was why she claimed not to remember the attack, because she thought it would give her the defense of insanity, just as Kevin had told her. It would. What if I go to prison and he said, "You'll only do 25 and I'll get you lawyers and I'll make sure that you're taken care of." Only 9 months later, Kevin had not arranged for Sabrina's legal defense, and the insanity bid was going nowhere. She realized she had been manipulated, and she went to the prosecutors and asked for a plea deal. She would cooperate with their investigation and tell them everything Kevin had done. Kevin's perfect getaway began to fall apart. The police contacted Autumn Pavic, and she helped them by meeting with Kevin to lure him out about the hitman. They recorded the interaction. "The only thing that I'm worried about is that whole hitman thing. He didn't admit to anything in this conversation, and various search warrants, Kevin's house, vehicles, and electronics, all turned up nothing incriminating. But Sabrina's testimony was enough. He was arrested and charged with complicity to commit aggravated murder and sexual battery in August 2013. Sabrina pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the option for parole after 30 years, which will be in 2042, when she is 47 years old. Kevin, however, pleaded not guilty. His defense argued there was no evidence of his affair with Sabrina or of his plot to kill his wife. It was only Sabrina's word, and Sabrina was a troubled young person with a history of substance abuse and unreliable behavior. But this is what made the case all the more chilling: that she was young, unstable, and vulnerable, and he had taken advantage of that. On June 11, 2014, Kevin Canel was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment for each of the 6 counts of sexual battery and to life with parole eligibility after 30 years for complicity to aggravated murder be served consecutively. What do you think about this horrifying story? Who's really to blame? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe. Subscribe my channel for more interesting true crime stories, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can't miss any notification. World True Crime, signing off.